Hey Saints Nation, AJ Fox here with you with another episode of Maryville Cooks. I'm here today to tell you about one of my favorite desserts, and if it is not already a staple at your family functions, I hope it becomes one soon. And one of the reasons, in addition to being rich and delicious, that it's one of my favorite desserts to make is there's only 5 ingredients, the 5 that you see right here. 3 cups of cold milk, 1 8-ounce tub of whipped topping, tub of chocolate frosting, 2 of these small 3.4-ounce packages of Jell-O instant vanilla pudding, and then a package of honey graham crackers. In addition to having only a few ingredients, one of the other reasons I love to make it is because it's so simple and you don't need that many kitchen tools and you don't make that too much of a mess. So you need one 9 by 13 inch pan, preferably one with a lid, 1 spatula, 1 large mixing bowl, and then a whisk. That's all you need to get started, so let's get to it. So the first step in making chocolate eclair is to make our filling. And the filling is just 3 of those ingredients. The first, we're gonna make the Jell-O. We're gonna make both of the packages and all 3 cups of milk. Now, if you look at the packages to make Jell-O, it will say put in 2 cups per package. And when we're making eclair, we want it to be just a little bit thicker than that, especially because we're gonna add in the whipped topping in just a moment. So we're gonna only add 3 cups of cold milk rather than the 4 it would call for in the packages. So real easy thing, we're just gonna dump in our Jell-O in our large mixing bowl, both bags. Pour in our cold milk and mix it all together until it starts to firm up. So we've stirred everything in. Looks like we've got the milk and the Jell-O powder mixed pretty well. It's also starting to firm up a little bit as Jell-O will. So now it is time to add in our whipped topping. So we'll grab our spatula. Now it's important to remember whipped topping comes frozen, and you will need to thaw it out in the refrigerator for a few hours before. Trying to add a frozen block of whipped topping to here, as I've done in the past, does not work as well as thawed whipped topping. So here we have our 8-ounce tub, and we're just gonna plop it straight into our Jell-O mixture, and we're gonna get back on our whisk and make sure that it is all mixed together and smooth. So you can see the Jell-O in there is a nice kind of yellowish color. Our white topping, whipped topping here is going to kind of lighten that up just a little bit and give us a nice kind of creamy colored filling. So there we have our filling just like you would in a pastry eclair. We've got a nice filling, and as you can see, the yellow of the Jell-O and the pure white of that whipped topping have kind of created a nice off-white. It's good because you can tell that you've got it fully blended together when you no longer see those streaks. So now that we have our filling, we need to get on to the structure of our dessert, so we're gonna head there right now. All right, so now on to kind of more fun part of our chocolate eclair dessert building here. We've got our filling and we've got that set aside, so that's ready to go. And now we're going to open up our package of graham crackers. There's 3 of these sleeves of graham crackers in each graham cracker box, and you're going to use 1 of these for each of the layers, so we'll end up using the whole box by the end of it. Now you'll just take your graham crackers and you're going to fit them into a layer on the bottom of your cake pan here. And the most important thing is just that you get it covered in graham crackers. So a little tip that I like to do is for these, my cake pan has rounded edges on the bottom, and so for those, I just like to break off a little corner of the graham cracker. It helps it fit a little bit better and easier. Just a pro tip from somebody who's made this dessert far too many times. Then you're just continuing layering down those crackers, getting them to fit as close to each other as you can, and again, we're aiming for maximum coverage. Again, I like to break it just to make sure we get as many in there as we can and fill in all those holes along the edges. It would be wonderful if graham crackers and cake pans were the exact same size, but unfortunately not. So as you can see, we've got our first layer of graham crackers done, got the whole bottom covered. Now we're ready to add in our filling. So we've got our filling that we made earlier. And here comes the trickiest part of the dessert, which is trying to judge pouring half of this filling in first, and then we'll put another layer of graham crackers and another half. So do the best that you can, but it doesn't have to be perfect. So I think I've got just about half there, and I will take my spatula and just kind of smooth it around. I'll do it a little slowly because the graham crackers like to slide. They're not really down there at all, but they'll move around just a little bit. And we want to try to keep them as best in place as we can. Make sure that every bite throughout the dessert you have those 3 layers of graham crackers, 2 layers of this delicious filling, and eventually that chub of chocolate frosting over top. And the goal here is just try to get this layer of filling as even as you can. Again, the good thing about this dessert is perfection is not required. It will all taste wonderful no matter how it comes out. All right, I think I've got a fairly even, give it a little shake there. And the other good thing is when we put the second layer of graham crackers on, we can kind of smash down a little bit, even it out. So I'm on to my second sleeve of graham crackers, and we're just going to repeat the process that we did in step number 1. All right, with our second layer of graham crackers, we're ready for our second and final layer of filling. Make sure we get it all out of there. Don't want to waste any of this. All right, we're ready for our third and final layer of graham crackers, all finished with the filling. And we are getting very close to the end. Now, if you're a fan of puzzles, one of the exciting things about finishing off these layers of graham crackers is trying to find and break apart that very perfect piece. You don't have to do this, and certainly if you just get some graham crackers down there in a layer, you're in good shape. I always try to make sure I have the maximum number of graham crackers, and I think we've got it. So here we are, we're ready for the final topping of this dessert, which is our tub of chocolate frosting. And to get here, what I'm going to do is, very importantly, remove this layer of foil. Definitely a must. And then I am going to microwave this for about 55 seconds on half power. Basically, you want to just get it to the point where it's going to be able to be easily poured and spread across this dessert. So I have my frosting out of the microwave. I've also gotten a big spoon. You can use your spatula. I prefer a spoon just because it's a little bit easier to spread and also to stir. So we're going to stir this up, making sure we've got it a nice kind of runny consistency, but not too hot. And you definitely don't want to burn it. So again, about 55 seconds on half power is usually what does it, in my microwave at least. So then you just take this and pour over. Now, did splash some of the filling a little bit high, especially as I was moving it around. You might too. If you really are a perfectionist, you're making this for a grand piece where appearance is going to matter, you can just kind of take a little paper towel and run around the edges there, and that way you'll see a perfect thing of chocolate frosting. If this is going to be eaten by family and disappear in 5 seconds anyway, you'll want to just skip this part and move right into dumping the frosting. So we got our frosting out of the tub, and now we're just going to spread it around, get it nice and even. And here we have it, chocolate eclair. You are ready to go, except there's one more step, and it's always the hardest part, which is you'll want to refrigerate this for at least a few hours, and ideally overnight before you serve it, and that will allow that delicious filling and also this chocolate frosting to soak into those graham crackers and give them a little bit of a crunchy but a nice smooth finish. It'll give you just a great bite. It looks delicious. You want to eat it right now, but that refrigeration step is very important. So we're going to put the lid on this, put it in the refrigerator, and then show you what it looks like when it comes out. Now, while we have to wait a few hours to sample that dessert as it chills in the refrigerator, you can get a little bit of a taste right now. And one of my favorite things to do as I clean up from this dessert, which again, this is the extent of our mess, you're going to have a few pieces of graham cracker left over, as well as some of that filling and frosting from your spoon and your spatula. So I usually just like to, as I'm cleaning up, make sure that none of this gets wasted and just take a little bit of a sample right on that graham cracker there. Oh yeah, this is going to be a good one. So here we are, it's the next day, and we are ready to enjoy our chocolate eclair dessert. It's been tempting us all night in the refrigerator, and so we are ready to dig in. We'll go ahead and take our lid off, and the first thing that's going to hit you is that rich chocolatey frosting smell, and it's going to take everything you can not to just dive right in, but we're almost there. To cut and to serve, I generally like to use as thin and sharp of a knife as I can. The frosting has hardened up just a little bit, and so what it's going to do is stick to the knife and pretty much everything that you use to cut into it. I also have a spatula to serve, totally optional. If at this point, unless you're going for style points, you pretty much want to just dig into this thing any way you can. I have a fork because I'm going to enjoy my piece right now. You can feel now that as you cut through it, the graham crackers, the filling has absorbed into them, so you're seeing no resistance or crunch whatsoever, and that's exactly where you want to be. Get down to the bottom, scrape along, help it out with the edges, because again, that frosting has kind of adhered to just about anything. First piece is always hard to get out. First piece is not going to be your pretty one. I'm actually going to use the fork to help me here. And as we can see, we've got 3 layers. The top is our frosting, our graham crackers, our mixture, another layer of graham crackers, bottom layer of mixture, and final layer of graham crackers. All 3 levels right there and present. And that's it. That's your chocolate eclair. Bon appetit.